Yeah, let's try to find some topics that are related to the problems when you think about Scrum Master career path in general, not really working from home, because that would have been a good subject too. Scrum Masters working from home. But let's not go there today, okay? Let's just think about Scrum Master career path. Whatever you can think about it, drop it on the board. Do you all have the link to the Lean Coffee board?
We have link in Google Calendar.
Okay. And what is that, Dimitri?
Please, please go
Maybe
to the link to coffee table.
I will share to the chat.
Yes, thank you.
Boom. You're welcome.
Yeah, that's the same one, I think. Yeah. All right, so let's start creating some topics we want to talk about, okay?
Mm-hmm.
As you can create any topics that you would like to discuss. And after that, we'll vote. And after that, discussion within 10 minutes each. Hello, Lech.
Hello.
Please use the Lean Coffee table.
Okay, I'll try. What I need to do?
Your time to post here any topics that you would like to discuss.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we already have a lot. It's crazy.
Oh, if your item is there already, then just vote for it. Don't
yeah,
vote.
Thank you.
And made a lot of work. So voted a lot. Yeah, it looks like we need more of such meetings. What happened, guys? I think it's because of coronavirus, and so we have a lot of things to discuss sitting like we're sitting at home all the day.
So we changed our clock to daylight saving time for the summer. Did you also change your clock? What time is it in Ukraine right now?
Yep, 7:12. It's 7 p.m.
7:12. It's 7. Okay, here it's 6 o'clock. Yeah, we're still 1 hour difference.
Okay, so I used all my votes.
And how many votes I have, guys?
3 votes each.
You can see it on the side in the sideboard. Each one has 3 dark dots, so you have three
Thanks.
votes. Yeah.
Oh, I see. But can I remove one of my vote and vote for that?
Yeah, you have a button remove
I
after
see.
you vote. I used all my votes. Pity.
I see a duplicate, and one of them was mine, so I'm going to delete that one. It doesn't have any votes, so that doesn't matter. But I will vote for the one that is similar.
How comes I can see 5 dots, but the value is 3?
It's too much.
No, I understand. You see 5 dots because 5 people voted for that item. Maybe that's what you see?
Yeah, and 3 is probably just a number of a card, is it?
Yes, the number 3 is the number.
Yeah. 3 is number of the card.
Thank you.
Guys, please help me with Zoom. When Dmitry started casting his screen, I only have 1, 2, 5 screens of you. How I can switch to see everyone?
No, you can't. Dmitry has to switch to see everyone. Dmitry, can you change your setting of the right-hand panel to show all the cameras instead of only a strip? In Zoom.
Remove
Yeah, I have only 5.
Remove please this boring lean board. Open our videos.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, what should I do?
Okay. You go to the Zoom settings. On the right-hand side, you have this floating panel. You have a panel with the cameras in it, like all the participants. And if you hover on top, no, you're in your browser, not in your browser, in Zoom. The settings for
I fixed my own Zoom. Okay.
Oh, you fixed your own Zoom?
Yeah, I fixed my own. I have a floating panel and I just drag and now not 5 but 7.
You're right. We are stupid. Dmitry is smart. Zoom is very clever, by the way. Yeah, I did the same thing.
Okay, please vote. Lana, please vote. Oleg, please vote. Olga, please vote. For any
Roland, please vote.
guys.
I gave all my votes.
Time for vote.
Same to me.
I have
already done it.
I'm done.
Okay. Let's start discussion.
Yes.
Yes. So the first topic is Scrum Master's KPI, Key Performance Indicator. Do we need any of them? So let's start discussion.
Whose ticket is it? Whose item is it? Because let's start with elaborating a little bit on the subject by the person who entered this item to discussion.
It's mine. I created this item because when I thought about like a general subject that we created for today's discussion, so if you're talking about career path in general, I think in most companies there is a process of reviewing like salaries and possible career goals at least once per year, right? And when someone would like to review efficiency or anyway to review what Scrum Master does and how it works, I think there should be some KPIs to understand how Scrum Masters perform and some organizations, some companies trying to find each own KPI to estimate how Scrum Master perform good or not. So what do you think about such KPIs in general? Is it does it make sense? Have you seen good examples of such KPIs in your companies? So that's why I'm interested in that.
Okay. So listen up, guys. This is not a Q&A session where only me is going to be talking. So I want to invite everybody to share their experiences, as I will do as well. First thing, actually, I want to make a small remark, and that is that in general, we have to ask ourselves, what is the value of having a KPI? Yeah. Before we go into what is the value of having a KPI for a Scrum Master, in general, what do you think is the value of a KPI? The reason why I'm asking this is that in 90% of the time, so in most cases, when organizations put a KPI on something, on your performance, for instance, the automatic reaction of people to respond is to try to game the system. So KPIs, in my opinion, and I want to hear your opinion as well, are a bad thing that we should avoid at all costs. Can you agree? Do you see that KPIs are inviting people to try to game the system to make things look good for themselves so that they get a good review? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I totally agree. But when we work in enterprise organizations, we always have KPIs. And a couple of months ago, I faced my KPIs, and it was very frustrating. But we right now we can change system in enterprise. So it's like necessary evil, and how to cope with it.
Okay.
What
Anyone
KPIs
else?
did you have? Sorry for interrupting.
No. I was saying anyone else, so please go.
I'm also working in a large, very large enterprise, but as a Scrum Master, I'm not sticked with such KPIs at all, because maybe I am in the very beginning of this, not for a long period working in this company. But as I can see, we have them, and soon we will discuss and we will use it, and it's like an assessment in future. It can be the same.
Okay.
Yeah, I think managers don't understand how they can evaluate performance of, for example, I'm a manager and I have 3 Scrum Masters, and I would like at least once per year, I would like to understand which Scrum Master perform the best and which one is worse. So how I can understand that when I don't have any kind of KPI.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And maybe it's too applicable to like yearly bonuses on.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why they are
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Lana, you were also wanted to say something, Lana. Can you say what you wanted to say?
That was just a question. That was just a question for Artur about what KPIs did he have.
Okay.
Oh, it's painful question. They are stupid.
Well, what was the KPI?
NDA, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, NDA. But we know it was stupid. Haha.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
I think why could I have one example? For example, one of my KPIs is how you is you proactive or not, and do you think you proactive enough, or you could be proactive more? So that's why.
But how could you measure it?
I don't know.
Your manager can measure it and say it's okay, you're proactive enough or not.
All right.
Yeah.
So we agree it's necessary evil, and we agree that there's a lot of bullshit KPIs going on. Okay, and we need to make our way to try something, make something sensible out of this, because at the end of the day, we are, especially the way Yuri says it, in a position where we're going to decide on a bonus or not, right? Like a raise in a salary. So I would say the main thing is that we learn or understand who is performing and who's not. So I can understand that you have some money that you can give to people or not, depending on their performance. Or maybe you want to decide to get rid of people or not, depending on their performance. And therefore, you would want to have something that is called a KPI, a key performance indicator. But in a certain way, I think you should be able, by working with these people that you need to have an opinion upon how they perform, by working with these people, you should be able to ask yourself who's better and who's not so good. I think the personal relationship you have with the person and the observation you do for yourself should actually be enough. And isn't the KPI, next to being a necessary evil, maybe only an easy way to deal with some feeling of guilt that you have for yourself, because you have to make a judgment and decide for people who's going to get more money and who's not? Isn't it a way to make an abstract layer to prevent you from getting a problem in your head? You know what I mean? So it sounds like an escape to me. It's like formalizing what you already know in a number. And that's not bad, as long as you're aware of the fact that you are formalizing a number that you already know. And then, of course, you're going to get these questions from person A, Scrum Master A, saying, why didn't you give me a raise? And you did give him a raise, and he sucks, right? They're going to be finger pointing or whatever. That's the kind of situation you want to avoid. So you need to have this book in which you make remarks for yourself to say, on the 12th of January, Piotr was doing this, and that's why I don't think he's a good Scrum Master. And on the 31st of April, Olena was doing that, and that's why I think she is better. Good, you know what I mean? You have to like track stuff so that you have data on which you base your opinion. Whether somebody,
yeah, it's okay, but sometimes, and maybe very often, it's this KPI like turn to beauty metrics, and it's like bias your decision to fulfill KPIs. That's the main concern which I have.
True. It's a serious problem. Now, the best thing actually, if you really need a KPI, then if you look at what is a metric, KPI is a metric, right? It's an indicator for how good a performance is. Now, when you think about what is a good metric, the best metric are metrics that are outside in. Now, let me explain that. There is a system, and you wanna make a judgment on the performance of that system. This is systems thinking theory, okay? And in order to be able to determine the performance of a system, it makes sense. Please let me go on a little bit to finish my sentence.
Let's vote. Are we going to extend 5 minutes this topic, or
It's good enough, yeah. So in order to evaluate the performance of a system, you need measurements, and the best way to do measurements is to measure from outside the system. Okay, so your metric should be located outside the system. Now, why is that? The reason is, if you put the source of your metric, so the collection of your data inside your system, you will change the behavior of your system by definition. So if I tell somebody I'm going to measure your behavior on how happy your team is, right? Then this person is going to do something specifically to ensure that I will observe team happiness. Whether the team is happy or not is not relevant. He will make sure he will meet the criteria of the KPI. But if I put the measurement outside the system, then the person or the system, in this case, the system is the Scrum Master, okay, and the work he does. So if I put the metric outside the system, outside the real control of the Scrum Master, then I will be measuring something that is real, something that matters. So what would be a metric that we could put outside the system? That would be actually anything that is so it would be things we can observe in the organization, for instance, what the team does in relation to what we expect from the Scrum Master. So if you expect from the Scrum Master to ensure that the team's velocity is going up, then you don't say to the but then if you say to the Scrum Master, this is your KPI, then your metric is inside the system. So that's not going to work. You see the difficulty? You need to find a metric that is not under control of the thing that you are measuring, not directly. Now, if we look at, so velocity is an easy one that can be gamed, right?
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Definitely, yeah. But maybe self-organization. So the Scrum Master, you're responsible for self-organizing, getting the team to be more self-organized. And then let the Scrum Master for himself, he needs to think on ways how he's going to establish that. Now that is, I think, is a good metric. Why? Well, you're engaging the Scrum Master to do something that you really want, because you really want self-organizing teams. And it is actually pretty easy for you as an external observer to make an assessment on how self-organizing the team currently is. Do they get up spontaneously? So you don't tell them about what you're going to measure, right? But you could measure if they do their own daily scrums without the Scrum Master being there. And if they speak up when somebody tells them your sprint backlog is going to change, all that kind of stuff, all that behavioral, observable stuff is what you can put on your list to tick off to assess the level of self-organization as a benchmark, zero baseline. And you can just, you know, as you observe it on and on and on, you can add your data. And then at the end of the year or half a year, you can ask your Scrum Master, well, how do you think you performed on your KPI to make the team more self-organizing? And then he would have to explain to you how he did that. And then you can say, well, I made a baseline and I observed this. Teams were waiting for you to start the daily Scrum. And they were status reporting to you. Okay. And now that we are in August, nothing changed. They still do that. And according to me, that means that there is no improvement in self-organization. So what you did by putting this KPI outside the system is that you create something real, right? Something valuable to work for. I think that's the kind of approach I would take for making KPIs more valuable, taking them outside the system to measure outside in, if you can.
Oh, I have a comment on that. I've heard about the idea to make your team's definition of done as a metric for Scrum Master. If this definition of done is strong enough, you'll definitely get less amount of bugs. If not, well, you will have a bunch of them. What do you think about that?
How we can measure is it strong or not, strong or weak?
Sorry, can you repeat, Yuri? Because we didn't get you.
Sorry, yeah, I'm asking how we can measure is your definition of done is strong enough or weak enough?
You will get just less amount of bugs, and you will see the tendency that has been decreased.
But you cannot say it's hard to say for sure. Is it a result of your definition of done, or maybe some engineering
No.
practice? Or
I do agree. I do agree. I think the let's say the cause and effect relationship between the definition of done, the way you say it, and the amount of bugs, that's like too complex. There's too many steps in between. Right, but there is something here that might be worth discussing. So, what if I don't know if you ever read the article? I once wrote an article about definition of done, very short article. The definition of done is the Swiss Army knife of Scrum. The Swiss Army knife, that's this knife that's got a corkscrew and a scissors and whatever, right? So it's a very valuable tool. Now, one of the ways you can use a definition of done, that is, if you have a basic definition of the starting definition of done for your team, could be that they are able to deliver software without that it's integrated, right? They deliver software, but their piece of the puzzle still needs to go to an integration team. And after that, it needs to be deployed to another environment where it will be some end-to-end tests will be running and blah, 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 blah. Now, I think that if you would look at how the team is able to integrate the next step of things they cannot yet do into their definition of done, that is a measure of progress. And I'm sure that the Scrum Master will have to contribute to get that done. Yeah. So if they're not able to do proper testing now, and if the definition of done includes testing after some time, and if the definition of done keeps on moving towards the direction of being able to immediately push to production with all tests and things integrated, then there's value for the organization because the team is really growing. And yes, of course, that would be a thing that the Scrum Master is working on with the team. Although maybe this is more a team achievement than a Scrum Master achievement.
So am I right if you're talking from position of system thinking, something like smart KPIs are bullshit? They are not specific and not so very achievable if you're talking about like team self-organization.
Yeah, I think that's true. The smarter your KPI, the smaller you make it, the easier it becomes to fool the system. And the easier you will make the mistake of doing a local optimization. It's like giving a test department a KPI no, not the test department, the service desk. If you give them a KPI on the number of tickets they produce, you're in trouble.
They will produce a lot. Yeah.
You're in trouble. That's a very bad KPI. It's very smart, but it will lead to local optimization. You need something outside the system to make them do something valuable. Yeah, and then the system boundary is, of course, the thing you want to measure in the example, the service desk. So in the service desk example, the number of happy customers, or the I don't know, some stuff outside what they cannot make customers happy, you know, only by doing their work properly. There's no way for them to influence that directly. I one small remark. I see two people who don't have their cameras on. Now, I don't mind. But I also think I did not hear you yet. So it would be nice maybe to understand if you like the conversation or... oh. So that's Oleg and Olga. Are you with us? Are you enjoying the show?
Yes.
No, that's Oleg. Oh, but there's another Oleg. Oleg Tuvma. Not responding.
Hello.
I had a such situation just now in my training when we asked sometimes the people and we are not talking to us, and after the meeting I tried to talk to this person and ask him why you keep silence. It was very
Oh, here it's
difficult to.
Oleg Thomas. No, he says in the chat, my mic isn't working. That's a good reason.
Olga, hello. Do you like our conversation?
Did you see a funny image about remote meetings?
Yes,
Like
the movie.
bingo for remote meetings. No?
Yeah, I know it.
Different pictures. Yeah. Maybe Dmitro, you need to put this picture and we will vote where we are.
Okay, let's continue, guys.
Yeah.
How to select and hire a Scrum Master. Olena, how do you select and hire Scrum Masters?
We probably need to listen to the author of this question. What peculiarity
Ah, all right.
should be highlighted here?
I was the
Oh, it was you? It was you? Was it?
So yeah, I think it's I made a couple of mistakes in my career as a Scrum Master, as well as in my career as a consultant, to help people hiring good Scrum Masters. So I know I've really experienced how difficult it is. So I was wondering if you have any ideas, because I've learned.
Right. Now I got I'm clear about the question.
Yes.
I do have an experience on hiring Scrum Masters, and this is the most difficult question, because if you try to hit the criteria of their skills, their resume may be rather perfect, like having certification, experience, all good words about themselves. Alex's mic is better now.
I think Oleg's microphone is working.
Yeah, hi guys.
Oh my God.
Nice to hear everyone. Sorry.
Where are you? On the moon?
Stop it.
All right. Together with that,
broke it again, please.
Yeah, continue.
Together with that, when you meet with this person in the interview room, you don't. It's a black box. You never know what individuality you get. And I have like a recipe of the characteristics which I don't like to have on this position. First of all, I am trying to define if the person really believe in Scrum. I've met so many people who are project managers by their nature more than agile people. They are switchers, but they really don't know how agile environment should be built. This is number one. Number two is good communicator with strong position, not shy. And when I say this, I need to highlight. I need to mention the English skills. Sometimes the level of English is good, but the speech itself is not like clear to the audience. And the other one, I try to challenge people with so many questions to avoid micromanagement. That's my 3 criteria for now.
Anyone else?
I think Dmitry can tell us more about situational questioning or someone. I remember our talk in Luxoft when you talked about team designing, and 60% of success was hiring proper people. So situational questions was like a solution.
Oh, yes, I would add that probably it could be a lot of discussion on what the success for the team. I would add to this topic that the good Scrum Master could be a kind of psychologist.
Psychologist.
Yeah, to understand what the ambitious rules this particular Scrum Master and what drives him. Something like that.
Guys, I can add maybe we can, as it was mentioned above, maybe Scrum Master must be like a system thinker. You see, it must be on the needed level of his development in order to not to be only with the team, but to be with the organizations as a whole. And he need to understand that. So that will help him and to be in such in any environment to understand why it happens and what to do.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're right about that, but it's an evolution. Yeah. It's an evolution,
yeah,
right?
It's definitely a cool and necessary skill. Maybe the question is how you can measure it during a 1 hour interview.
Let me enlighten you, because I have found a way. I made numerous mistakes of hiring the wrong people, so I now know how to do it. Okay, here we go.
You're welcome.
Here we go. At first I was looking for. I was doing interviews because that's how you're being taught to hire people, doing interviews. And then in those interviews, I always made sure I was not alone. I always had somebody from the team and the product owner to interview the person to see if it was a match and to see if, well, I could ask the questions about being a Scrum Master. And then we have 3 opinions, like from the developer, from the product owner, because they would have to collaborate a lot. Mm-hmm. And to a certain extent, that was reasonably successful, depending on how good my questions were and how well they could, get in touch and understand and whatever. So what went wrong there every once in a while? Let me give a good example. I was really impressed by a lady who was applying for a job as a Scrum Master, and she was accessible. Her English was good. She was very knowledgeable, and she was funny. So we were all pretty much charmed by this young lady. And I had a bad experience before that. And then I asked her a very blunt thing. I said, hey, this is maybe very silly that I'm asking you, but I'm a Scrum Master too. And every session that I do, I make pictures. And I see you have a cell phone with you. Would you mind flipping, scrolling through your photos and then show me of your sessions, the photos that you have, so I can get an idea of what you've done before? Man, I was impressed. She had wicked pictures, posters, people working. I said, you're the man, you're the woman. We're gonna hire you. This is awesome, right? I thought I just had the best idea ever. We fired her after 2 months because the only thing she could do was drawing beautiful posters. She was very knowledgeable about the Scrum framework, but she had no skills for being a good coach. She didn't know how to resolve a conflict in real life. She was like a spoiled kid, who was really very good at drawing posters about Scrum. It was hilarious. Okay, so that doesn't work. Now the good tip. Listen, I was at another job, and we had to find a new product owner. But in the process of finding a new product owner, the Scrum Master who was working there happily announced that she was immigrating to Australia. So all of a sudden, we did not only have to hire a product owner, but also find a new Scrum Master. Now, here comes the big idea. It's very simple, and it's like a paperclip. Simple solutions are the best. For the product owner, I already had a good idea. I said, in order to find us the good product owner, we are going to give him 2 stories from the product backlog, and he needs to come over to do a refinement with the team, with a team. And then we know. Because if he's not able to set priorities and to decide what is important and what is not, if he cannot guide the team to explain so we wanted somebody with domain knowledge and all that. So I just applied the same thing for the Scrum Master. So we selected Scrum Masters based on whatever looked good, you know, and they had a primary talk to see what kind of person is it? Is he smelly, whatever, some criteria to drop them off. And then we had 3 guys left, and we just asked them to come over to do a retrospective with the team. That's it.
You mean a real team and real retro?
Real simulation, yeah?
Well, we need 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
What do you mean real? No, just real. So this guy comes in and he says, yeah, I don't know too much about your team, but here I am today, and we're going to spend 1.5 hours. We're going to do a retrospective, and just let him start and see where it goes to. It's not a simulation. It's like real. We want to have a retrospective. We want to have an improvement item. At the end of the session, I want him to come up with something to improve for this team.
And maybe it was the situation where this guy knows only one way how to combine with retrospective, and he shows he's the best variant.
Yeah, but that's something you can find out in the conversations you have, right? You should have like 1 or 2 talks and let people do the real work. And because in doing the real work, you will find out if there's a match with the team, if it's a creative person who can come up with solutions when he's in difficult situations. So I think you learn a lot by that. And even if it's a Scrum Master who's not very experienced and he's got only 1 trick, you can still understand from seeing him perform whether this person is going to be able to find new tricks. You know what I mean? If he's creative enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the final decision was created by the team or by somebody else?
No, team plus manager. Team plus a manager.
Cool.
Yeah.
But have you got any feedback from the team? So what they think about one guy and another guy?
Yeah, it was like a feedback.
Yeah, so they all had to put down. We had a session immediately after the retrospective, and then we did a sort of a Roman vote, like, what do you think and why? Mm-hmm. And that was all recorded, and that input was fed back to the manager, and he then had some additional. They had 1 session talking about 3 candidates, and he had some additional questions, and then they decided together with the manager who was going to be the new Scrum Master.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. And what about this Scrum Master when you found one that passed this test with real retrospective? Did he like a good Scrum Master for a company?
Yeah, he still works there. It's a 1.5 year now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, it could be.
It could be coincidence. You never know. It will be good or bad, but I think Roland proposition is cool because you can test Scrum Master in a real field, and your choice will be better with this.
You've got much more information. You've got much more information.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's not, and it's also you're testing somebody under pressure. Mm-hmm. So you know that this is his worst performance, probably, or her. Yeah.
Yes, so you definitely can miss, but if this probability is less.
It's a bit smaller. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's better than just talking about the work. Doing the work, you learn more about the person than just talking about the work, because that's hypothetical, that's abstract.
Yeah, this approach looks for me almost the same as most of the good developers recommend to have how to hire the good developer. Just sit together and spend several hours just
look at the code. What is the code that this guy's building, right? Not talking about it, but doing it. And it's exactly the same for Scrum Masters and product owners.
Yep. I think it could be almost the same, because I also was faced with situation when rather senior developer passed interview successfully answering a lot of questions about deep knowledge of .NET and etc. But when he came to the real team, he just did nothing. Just nobody knows why.
It happens.
Because
shit happens.
Yep.
Shit happens. That's true. But you wanna reduce.
You wanna minimize your shit.
You wanna minimize the shit.
Yes, exactly.
To the end, this topic.
It's over.
And we have time to.
Yeah, we've got 10 more minutes to the last one.
Yeah, let's make it. 10 minutes.
All right. Just to save time, I'm gonna start. This was mine. Yeah, I'm experiencing the situation this week when the most serious, one of the best performers say something like, "Who you are here." So this is exactly the root cause of such a question, and this is just on the top of everything. I really started to notice that people, mostly from the people with Soviet mindset, they are after some years working by Scrum, they start to clearly understand their role and the role of the product owner, but the role of the Scrum Master is not clear for them. And I don't know how many channels of of information should be used to do that, because this guy got trainings, this guy got the presence of the Scrum Master, this guy got guidance and mentoring every day, and his answer is like, this is all about theory. In practice, you either take the Scrum Master either takes some responsibility, or probably we don't understand why he's or she's here. They are concerned about Scrum Master not to have any responsibility about the sprint. That's how they think.
Oh, let me tell you, this is something I'm not allowed to share. So I want you all to sign an NDA by doing this right now. I'm really serious about this. And those guys who are not on camera, you have to close your ears. There was a release candidate for the new Scrum Guide recently. And I was one of the people, together with the other professional Scrum trainers, by the way, to review it. And there was a lot of changes in there. It was a complete overhaul of the Scrum Guide. It was done by Ken Schwaber and Jeff Sutherland again, right? And one of the things they changed was that they gave the Scrum Master responsibility for the result of the sprint, right? Just like the developers. So the subject that you're touching here, by the way, the candidate has been withdrawn and they're not going to release it. And it's going to be rewritten again because there was too much wrong with it. So I don't know if this is going to stand when they are going to come out this summer with the new Scrum Guide. But at least the ideas of Ken Schwaber are also going into the direction of possibly giving the Scrum Master additional responsibilities besides upholding Scrum. Okay, so it's not strange that you're thinking about this. I do think it would be a very big mistake.
Was it a question?
No, I think it's a big mistake to start mixing the responsibilities. I think now it's very elegant that the product owner needs to point out where the value.
Roland, you're stuck.
We lost Roland.
ND Igor. Big brother stopped it.
We've lost him.
Yeah, as I know, there is another thing as including the sprint goal into the artifacts in order to make it more valuable for the team and most recognized by the team. Maybe that will also.
Good point.
Or we can again maybe we'll make from Scrum Master typical project manager.
Not at all, but I think that will add the manager's roles to it, and how many young teams suppose from Scrum Master. We wait what the Scrum Master is a manager, and see.
Yeah, different levels of maturity, of course. You're right.
I think Yelena's story is not about making Scrum Master role clear for that team. It's about general, I don't know, being just responsible and being nice to other guys. But if I hear such question like, who are you here? This is probably a problem. And this person would definitely fit your organizational culture.
I know what to do. You need to have all your certificates printed, and in order to show this person, and I'm here as a professional Scrum Master. What are you talking about, guy?
That's why that's sometimes better to hire people by their soft skills instead of hard skills, because if you have nice guys with a huge amount great soft skills, they will definitely teach that guy to code, and the business itself will benefit from that.
We had a conversation with one agile coach a couple of days ago, and have like similar to that question, and his opinion was, and his solution was, you can gather team around and give them like a task to create a Scrum Master position and to define Scrum Master role prior to hiring new Scrum Master.
I think that's a brilliant idea. That's a brilliant idea. Let the team make stickies on what they think a Scrum Master should be doing. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very experienced agile coach, and yeah.
And you will hear different things from them, but Scrum Master must be a Jira administrator and so on and so forth. And as a result, you will achieve such a monster, which will not be a Scrum Master, not a manager.
And you will be responsible for all releases.
This will be work with mature teams, but when you will have, that sounds ugly. But when you have like a new team, not a mature team, you will understand what they think about Scrum Master role and how to fix it, how to not be a Jira administrator and why. So you will start your journey with the team with cope with this myth.
Okay, let's add the item how not to be the Jira administrator.
That's easy.
And who can be this guy who created a sprint and close the sprint? So
if you want to make sure they don't treat you as a Jira administrator, you just chop off your hands. It's very easy. If you cannot type, you cannot be the Jira admin. So this is, I think it makes sense to about what Arthur said. To answer Olena's question, I think that might help you, right? You could do a session with your team to see what their expectation is, because it's
I already discovered that they want this guy wants a project manager.
So you are trying to resolve or to understand the maturities of each of the person. Or maybe you try to take his part of a job, maybe. So.
Okay, but what if somebody wants a project manager, and then you can tell him, But here's the Scrum team and there is no project manager. So how are we going to fix this?
No.
And then they say, yeah, the Scrum Master should be doing that,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the way it goes. Yeah, that's difficult. Anybody?
Their way of thinking is like the Scrum Master probably has a promotion and so many other assignments. They try to push their assignments, like taking responsibility to us just because they want to do something else.
Okay, that's good.
Therapy.
That's good. And then what does the Scrum Master do in response to that?
Many project managers consider Scrum Master as a project coordinator or like where.
I know. But now I asked the question and I would like to have an answer. So the team puts all kinds of project management tasks and things they don't want to do in the hands of the Scrum Master and say, slave, go fix. Then what does the Scrum Master do? Olena, in your case, what do they do?
I'm insisting on explanation what process we follow. Asking this person not to be that destructive, and if you have question, ask me the question. Don't.
But this is like a very deep conflict you have to try to solve, right? So the first step would be.
He has a conflict with the whole organization, and I'm demonstrating him that you don't make me guilty with your problems.
I've seen a movie of I'm going to look it up. I'm going to make a note and then I'm going to send it to you guys. I'm going to send it to Dimitri because he's got your address. And it's an American scientist, and he is a change expert. It's an old movie, but he's a change expert, and he's very clear about people who are resisting to change. He says you just have to fire them immediately, because all the energy that you're going to put in those toxic people is energy that you could have put into positive people who can get you much faster to do whatever you want. You just have to fire them, get rid of them. That's his answer.
I think Scrum Master should like print 10 copies of Scrum Guide and start to punching people with them.
No, that doesn't work. I mean, training does work, but this does not sound like a training problem. This sounds like
maybe it was like a funny answer. I think delegation poker can start a proper conversation with.
Yeah, that's a good one.
To cope with these problems, to understand who is responsible for which part.
And don't spend too much. I mean, there is a limit to how much toxic behavior we want to accept, right? And we don't want to be nice all the time. Sometimes you just have to be strict and say, this is not a kindergarten. You're going to listen and behave like an adult, or otherwise you're fired. Sometimes you just have to draw the line. That's also the role of a Scrum Master. And if I would be in a team where somebody would be asking stuff of me that is not part of the Scrum Master role, and they do it twice or three times, I'd really burst in laughing and go like, well, you must be very stupid that you keep on asking the same silly things to me. You know, I'm not going to do this. This is not a part of my role. You just have to draw the line.
Just small question. He provokes me in front of the whole team. Should I be tough in front of the whole team as well? Because the Scrum Master character is different.
Yes. But this is listen, Olena. If he provokes you in front of the whole team, then you should be able. You have to train yourself to be a real coach, because this is an opportunity for you to show in front of everybody what a stupid asshole he is. But you're not going to get there by entering in the conversation.
Yeah.
You will get there if you would ask a question like, wow, hey guys, do you see what's happening here? What is this man doing now? Can you see what he's doing, what he's trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's trying to be your boss, make a fool out of you. And that is behavior we do not tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
You have to try to take it one level higher. Don't go into the content, like don't have the discussion, but show people what human behavior is happening, right? And try to make people see that that is really not very valuable.
Mm-hmm.
and that's very tough. But that's real coaching.
Mhm. Got it.
Cool. Hey guys, I have to go because I'm going to be making dinner and have some food. So, yeah. I hope you enjoyed it because I enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was
Yeah,
cool.
definitely.
Sorry about my
Thank you,
camera,
Roland.
but yeah, sorry about my camera, but my internet connection was poor. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, thank you for your time. It was
Yeah.
fun.
You're welcome.
Please send me a
Yep,
link
thank
to
you.
that you mentioned about
Yes.
the change.
Yeah, I will do that.
I will share with all attendees.
We hope to have such session once more.
Yeah, in 2
At
weeks.
least.
In
2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Cool. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Cool,
Thank you,
guys.
everyone.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye. Было хорошо.
Надо нам свое Agile Talk сейчас напишу, ребят, давайте соберемся, сделаем свой линкоффи.
Да, вообще, вот как раз можно